Now don't forget, the thing that we're trying to do now is go and grab the title for this YouTube video. So this means it's time to work with the API. And so in order to figure out how to do this, Google has an awesome API Explorer, so we can do sort of the tough work on their side first and then bring it over into our code eventually. So go ahead and go to your dashboard here and find your YouTube Data API version 3. Go ahead and click on that. And this will give us a nice little link if we go down here to this Try an API Explorer. Again, you can find more documentation and tutorials there. But let's go ahead and check out the Explorer. Like I said, there's lots of different things that you can do with this API. But if we go down to the video section, we want YouTube.videos. There's lots of different things that you can do here. So update, report abuse, rate, whatever. We want the list. This is essentially the search parameter to say, hey, we want to go and grab a particular video. So if you go ahead and click on this, first it's going to ask you for the part. This can get really complex really quickly, but essentially if you just do snippet, this says give me the core information for a particular YouTube video. So go ahead and just set that thing to snippet. Then as far as ID goes, this is like the YouTube video ID. So let's just go ahead and grab our it do go down up here. The V is equal to, or for you, just any particular YouTube video, like literally go grab any ID and paste it in here. I think it'll be interesting for you. And with that in place, let's do this authorize and execute. It's going to say, hey, are you going to allow this to do things on your behalf? And it's going to pop up a little window and you're going to have to say yes to that. So I'm going to go over here on my other screen and just say yes to that. Now, once you've given the proper permissions there, look what we get down below. It says, okay, this is the URL that you go to do this particular thing. And here's the information back. So if you look at this, we've got this particular video, like the title, it do go down. And like we've got the description here. We've got all sorts of awesome thumbnails for the particular video. Like we could see it really high depth up here. And this is like the smaller, littler one if you want to like save some data. There's all the tags for what we've got here. See, this is kind of funny, right? Like a tag for this is Lil Wayne, Drake, and Meek Mill. Like, it's just interesting. Like these are kind of cool things that you wouldn't see otherwise, right? Like really interesting stuff. And again, we've got the title and whatnot. So this is all the information that we're looking for. And again, it gives us this nice URL that we can just sort of copy paste and use in our own project. And we can then see, okay, this is how we drill down to the specific place that we want. So let's go ahead and copy this URL here. And I'm going to bring this into my project. So remember, this is what we want to be working with. And essentially, let's add this as a string. We want to replace your API key with our API key. And then we also want the ID to be equal to whatever video we passed through and got the video ID for, right? We don't always want it for that one video that we just searched for. Now, in order to go grab the data from this API, we're going to be using another library of code. And this one is the request library. So I'm going to put this with my import URL lib. So import, and then I want to go grab requests. Okay. Because those don't import something specific, I kind of like to keep those right next to each other. Just sort of add some nice flow to your imports up at the top. We'll go ahead and save that. And then now we can say, okay, we want to get requests dot, and then we want get. So we're going to do a get for, and then this is where we want to provide this URL here, this string. So we'll go ahead and just cut and paste this inside the parentheses. Now we wanted to add some information into here, so we're going to put a little F at the front of this so that we can do some string interpolation, and we're going to say, okay, for the ID, we're going to select everything up to the and sign, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add curly brackets inside of there. And then we're going to add our own information. So in this case, we're going to say video underscore ID. And remember, we want the one at the 0th position because this is actually a list back here. Okay. And then the key is equal to, what's pretty interesting is that it already had the curly brackets here. So we're most of the way there. Really, all we've got to do is change this to what we called our variable, which is YouTube API key. So we'll go ahead and paste that down below. Okay, So this request is going to go out and get this. We should save this into a variable. Let's call this response. That's where we'll save what we get back from that request. And then with the following response, we want to drill down to the particular of that video. So if we go back here, we can sort of follow the list of what we need to do. We can say, okay, top level, first we're going to go to items. And then from there, if we want to get to the title, we're going to have to go to the snippet. And then within snippet, bam, there is the title that we're looking for. So you can kind of see the path that we're going down. So let's go ahead and move back and say, all right, the thing that we're looking for with this particular thing, and I should say the response right now is just sort of raw data. We want to turn it into a JSON object. So we're going to have to say JSON is equal to response.json with open and close parentheses. Great. So then with this JSON, we could say something like JSON, and we want to get to the top level thing here, which is going to be items. So we're going to say items. The next step that we're looking for to go and grab this title is it actually gives us back an array of things. So there's really only one video when you provide an ID, like there should only ever be one, but there's not an API request to just get one thing. There's, one to get search for things, and if you provide the ID, it will only give you one. So we're just going to do the 0th item on this, okay? And then we scroll down and we say, okay, within this, the next thing that we're looking for is the snippet. So we'll come back and add a string that says snippet. Make sure that we spelled that correctly, S-N-I-P-P-E-T, great. And then the next thing that we're looking for is the title, right? Because we now have moved into here, and then we can say title. So we'll go and grab the title here. All right. So just to see if this is working, I'm going to save this to something like title is equal to this. I'm going to go ahead and print out whatever the title is. Okay. And I'm actually, for the time being, just going to comment out the video, save, and all that jazz there. So let's just go ahead and save this and come back to our project. And let's go ahead and just keep the following URL that we have here, although I'm going to go ahead and just reload this page here. Make sure it's got the new code that we've added. Oh, it's unhappy with us. Requests. No module named requests. We have to import that code via pip. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the Control-C. We're going to do our pip env install requests. Okay, it's going out doing its thing. Okay, that's good. Let's run our server again. It's looking a lot happier. Let's reload this page. Okay, so I'm going to go grab this YouTube URL. I'm going to copy and paste it in here, say create. Now we come back to this page. Moment of truth, let's go to the terminal. Look at that. It do go down. To really test this out, see if it's working, like let's go look at 10 hardest Mario levels, right? So I'm going to click on this video. I'm going to copy this, come back, paste in this URL, hit create. Let's see what our terminal says. Look at that, top 10 hardest Mario levels. Like, this is functioning. This is completely working. So cool that we have this. Oh my goodness, it just makes me really excited when, something like this works. Okay, so let's go ahead and just finish the job here to say, okay, we want to actually save all of this information. So we're going to scroll down and say, all right, if we're successfully able to get the title, then we could just say video.title is equal to title. And in that case, we'll be able to do a video.save. And once we've saved this, and we don't need to print this out anymore, we can simply redirect the user to go look at that particular haul and see this new video showing up there. So we can say return, and we want to do a redirect. Let's make sure we have the code for that. Yes, we already imported redirect, so we're going to say import redirect. And then inside of our parentheses, we want our haul underscore detail. And let's provide the primary key that we had up top for the particular haul. Great. So that's awesome that it's going to say, okay, if you were able to successfully do that, let's go ahead and move them over to the detail. But what happens if we're not able to get the video ID? Like, what if someone provided an incorrect URL? Well, this is the situation when we'd want to return back the form with some errors. So this is where we're going to say, okay, else, colon, and we're going to say errors, just make a new variable here, is equal to form dot, and the particular form that we're talking about is this, form that we had up here. And in fact, we kind of need to change this, the name on things here, right? Because we created this form up above and, we have this filled form. We should actually just change this to be consistent because in each case we're talking about the same form. So let's go ahead and switch this out. We're going to have to use filled form. There we go. We'll change the data that comes from there. I think that's all instances of that. Okay. So we're going to take this form that's already has some data inside of it, but provide an error. And we're going to say underscore errors dot set, and then we want to do a default. So set default, all lowercase, and then inside of the parentheses, we're going to say URL, comma, and then we're going to say capital error list, open and close parentheses, right? Remember, that's the code that we imported. And then we're going to say errors dot append, okay? And then we'll add some sort of string here that says like needs to be a YouTube URL. So that's just a little bit of extra bonus information that we have there. All right. So that's looking pretty good. So we've got all this information. If it does go wrong, we're going to display that, that's the case here. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. So we'll come back. Let's reload the page here. Okay. And let's add a different URL. Like I'll just do https://google.com. Okay. So I'm going to hit create and look at that. This is where we provided that awesome code inside of the view to say, okay, if there is an error, we're going to turn everything red into this alert here. And look at that. Needs to be a YouTube URL. That's the exact error code that we had before. And then we'll come back. Let's grab the following URL. We're going to paste this in, hit create. Look at this. So it's trying to move us over to the hall detail, but it's saying, hey, we're not able to find the particular URL that you're looking for. And I'm realizing I misspelled the URL here. If we go over to our urls.py, we can see we named it detail_hall. So let's go ahead and try that again. I'm going to call this detail_hall. There we go. So let's save this. Let's come back and try this add video again. This time, let's add a different video. So let's go back to the Super Mario here. We're going to copy this, paste that in, hit create. And look at that. It takes us back to our Hall of Fame detail. But the real moment of truth is let's go to the admin here and see if we can see this information. So I'm going to log in as Nick, which is our super user. Let's go to videos here. And look, there's 3 now because remember there's that one that we created before. But look at this. Video object 2, it do go down. Everything's beautiful. We come back. Let's try video object 3. Top 10 hardest Mario levels. Like, how cool is that? Like, this is completely functioning. So give yourself a nice pat on the back. We've made things that much easier for our user. We have some sort of validation to say, okay, is this user actually giving us a YouTube URL? Again, you can get a little bit more strict about that to say, hey, we've got to actually check that the base URL there is YouTube and whatnot. But we're at a pretty good position. Let's go back and Hall of Fame to add video. Really, the next step for us is to say, okay, when someone wants to search for a video here rather than going to YouTube, finding the video they want, we could just actually have them search here. This is going to be some fun Ajax that also works with the YouTube API, but we'll talk about that in the next section.